In these days in which we should all be practicing social distances, in my videos I want to place an emphasis on print and play games, especially free print and play games, and especially solitaire or soloable games, so that you can build them and play them in your house without having to go out. That's my little way, I guess, to try to help. Desolate is a game that fits that bill because it is a free print and play game. You can find the files on BoardGameGeek. Incidentally, also there are a lot of free print and play games on a website called Arcade PNP. I really recommend spending some time there. Desolate, if you play the video game Dead Space, it has a sort of like vibe. You're alone after a crash landing doing a failed rescue mission, and you're going around the place looking for 5 power cells. If you can do so before the oxygen runs out or before you're killed by the aliens, you win. Otherwise, well, there are the 2 conditions, I think, pretty clearly mean that you will die and you will lose the game. It is a simple game. It only has 2 pages of rules. It has 2 cards that are used to keep track of things. Then you have 3 decks of cards. 1 is very small and 2 don't have many cards, and these are really what the game is mainly about. I printed the game on paper, didn't even mount my cards, so it's very simple. I printed them double-sided, and it just works very well that way, not a problem whatsoever, totally playable. So first we have 2 cards that we use to keep track of things. You will want to place little cubes there or whatever other markers. You start at maximum health, ammo, and oxygen. If health or oxygen go down to 0 or less, you lose the game. Ammo, if it goes down to 0, it's really bad, but I guess you can still do it. Try. Maybe you still have a small chance. You will want also to have 5 generic tokens to keep track of how many power cells you have, or just sheet of paper and a pen or a pencil to keep track of that. You have a small deck of items. So at the beginning of the game, you shuffle this little deck, and then you draw 3 items and you choose 2 to carry with you in your mission. Suppose, for example, that we want to carry with us the rifle scope and the chameleon. And then we place those, well, where we can see them, and the other cards are not used out of the game for now. The exploration deck is really the heart of the game. Each turn, you will start the turn by drawing 2 cards. Now, they should be face down, and then you choose 1 to turn face up. Since I always turn face up the first one, that's why I simply flip it that way from the deck. You need to have 1 face up and 1 face down. You look at the face up and you decide if you want to resolve this one and you discard the other one face down, or if you want to resolve this one, in which case you discard this one. You put it face down in the discard pile. I believe that's at least how I do, so the entire discard pile is face down, and then you resolve the other one. Oh joy, it was a conflict and another conflict. Now, just to give you an example of the things that you can find, you may find storage, in which case you will find items, and we'll see how that works. Armory, that gives you ammo. Laboratory gives you oxygen. So some stuff gives you stuff. The power cells, the ones that you need to win the game. If you find 5 of them before you die because of lack of oxygen or because of murder by alien, then you win the game. So this is pretty much the general idea. Choose one of the 2 cards and then resolve whichever card you chose. To resolve a conflict, first you will take a card from the conflict deck, flip it face up, and place it next to the alien cards. You will need also a bunch of 6-sided dice. I should have mentioned that. You see there is a die there, and then there is another die there. By putting the 2 together, you have the number of life points that the monster, the alien, has. So this will be 8. If you have a 6-sided die, you place here 1 facing up, with the 4 facing up, and so you have 8 there. The aliens always attack first. The aliens always ambush you, so you immediately take that amount of damage indicated there when you start combat, and you record that by moving the health tracker down. Different conflict cards will have different amounts here. So now we took the damage. We know the alien has 8 life points, and now we simply choose how much ammo we want to spend. Suppose I want to spend 3 ammo. I move my marker down accordingly. And then I roll a 6-sided die for each point of ammo that I spent. And it's very simple. The amount that I rolled is the amount of damage that I inflict on the enemy. Suppose that I rolled a 7, darn it, then I move my die to indicate a 1. I put it on top of this one to cover, so I have a record there that the alien only has 1 point left. But if I did not manage to kill the alien, then I draw another conflict card, but this time I draw another conflict card, but this time I look at this side, see, upside down. And that is the number of damage points that I receive. Basically, each round that you're in combat, you will receive a variable number of damage points. So it may be 0, but maybe 4. And that's it. If I had killed the enemy, then the enemy would have been eliminated and I had to stand any more rounds of combat. You can also choose to attack without spending ammo, in which case you automatically inflict 1 point of damage, which can be very good in the example that I gave you, in which the enemy only has 1 point of damage and you don't want to consume ammo. If you kill the enemy comes with a crate, which may be large, as indicated by the L there, or small. Other symbols will have a crate with an S. When you find a crate, you take an inspiration card. Again, this time you turn it upside down again, so you look at the bottom. A large crate will give you both of the advantages indicated here. A small crate will give you either of them. And so this is pretty much how you play Desolate. For what it is, a game that you can get for free, built by printing a couple of pages and cutting them out and adding some really basic components that you do have at home. It's a good game. I actually find it very enjoyable. I think that it captures its theme because you have the sense of dread, you have the sense of attrition. You see your health going down, and sometimes the game builds a sense of false security, which really works well when then everything starts crashing down. I have a lot of health, and I have a lot of oxygen, and I'm missing only 1 power cell, and then I get slaughtered by monsters because I get bad die rolls during combat, and I see my health going down and down and down, and just I can't find that power cell. That means that some of your games will be thrown out of their natural course by bad luck, but it actually works thematically. Also, it's not like you play for 3 hours and then a bad die roll ruined all of your strategy, ruined all that build-up. The game plays in 10-15 minutes, and so that's perfectly fine. If a game you die too early or you die horribly, then you try again. Again, for a game this simple, it's enjoyable. Decisions, it looks like you don't have many, and maybe you don't, but basically the main decision is, of course, which exploration card to take, which seems to be obvious. Sometimes it is. If there is a monster with a small crate, that's possibly the worst card, because you have a confident, very small game, then you may as well choose the other card. Other times, not so much, because maybe you wouldn't mind killing a monster with a large crate, but actually you also want to proceed. Or you got, say, a card that gives you some extra health, but you already have a lot. Then should you discard that one and flip the other one, which may be the power cell, but may also be a conflict. So actually that is not, in most cases, that is not an irrelevant choice. And then of course the most momentum choice is how to spend ammo. And that's pretty important. Oh, oxygen, I didn't mention that. When you go through the entire deck, if you are not dead yet, you shuffle the deck to make a new one, a new exploration deck, but you also spend 2 oxygen. That means that going through the exploration deck twice without finding oxygen will certainly kill you. Simple choices, mind you, but again, for a game that you can play for 10-15 minutes, and it's fairly addictive. I found myself playing it several times in a row once I get started. But if you can play it only once or twice, it's the game you play right before dinner, right after dinner. Once you build it, it fits in a sandwich bag. This is the fancy container that I use to store Desolate. And so that's how it is. It's a simple game, simple, free print and play, but it's fairly thematic. It is surprisingly entertaining for what it is, for something this simple, this straightforward, and this linear. Enjoyable. In these difficult days, Desolate may just help you, I don't know, feel a little less desolate at home. Be desolate in the game, not when you're at home practicing social distancing.